This is the story of Amaka, a bright 22-year-old student at a Nigerian university. She had dreams as big as the sky, a heart full of hope, and a future that seemed promising. But one night changed everything. Before I continue, if you are watching without subscribing, please subscribe and pay close attention to this story I am about to share. Your safety is more important than anything else. It was January 26, 2025, a night like any other. Amaka had just finished a long day at school and was on her way home. It was already 8 p.m., later than she had planned. The streets were still alive with voices, headlights cutting through the dark, and the scent of roasted corn mixing with exhaust fumes. She stood by the roadside, waiting for a ride. A tricycle, Keek, pulled up, and without thinking twice, she hopped in. The ride was short, and soon she needed to switch to a bus. At the bus stop, a white minibus slowed down. The driver, a middle-aged man with tired eyes, nodded at her. Inside, 3 other men sat in silence. She hesitated for a moment, but then her phone buzzed. A message from her best friend. She got distracted. Without second-guessing, she stepped in, the door sliding shut behind her. The journey began. The city lights blurred as she scrolled through her phone, responding to messages and checking social media. But something was off. The air inside felt heavy. A strange tension wrapped around her like invisible chains, but she didn't notice until the headache started. Motion sickness. It always happened when she stared at her phone too long in a moving vehicle. With a sigh, she put it away, resting her head against the window. The soft hum of the engine, the rhythm of the moving tires, and the fatigue from a long day slowly pulled her into sleep. She didn't know how long she was out, but when she woke up, the world had changed. She was lying in the back of the bus. Naked. Her body ached in places she didn't want to think about. The pain burned deep, cutting through her skin and into her soul. Panic shot through her chest like fire. Her hands trembled as she tried to move, but her limbs felt weak, heavy, violated. Tears filled her eyes as the horror of what had happened set in. She wasn't alone. The men stood around her, now masked. Their eyes, dark and merciless, stared down at her. Her breath hitched. Her heart pounded. "Unlock your phone," one of them ordered, his voice cold. She shook her head, a weak attempt at defiance. But a sharp slap across her face stole her resistance. Her fingers trembled as she pressed the code. Within minutes, she watched helplessly as they drained 500,000 Nigerian nairas from her account. Her entire savings. Money she had worked so hard for. Then, they took her phone. Removed her SIM card. Left her with nothing but pain and shame. The bus slowed down. She was about to be thrown away like garbage. The bus slowed. The door slid open. A rough hand grabbed Amaka's arm and yanked her forward. She was too weak to resist. The cold night air bit into her bare skin as she was thrown onto the roadside like trash. The vehicle roared away, disappearing into the darkness. She lay there, shivering, broken, and exposed under the indifferent gaze of the moon. Her body ached, her mind screamed, but no sound left her lips. Shame wrapped around her like a suffocating blanket. A car sped past. Then another. No one stopped. No one noticed. Then, headlights slowed. A woman's voice called out cautiously. "Sister, are you okay?" Amaka couldn't answer. Tears spilled down her cheeks as the woman, with a shawl wrapped tightly around her, stepped out and covered her with a wrapper. "Who did this to you?" she whispered. But Amaka had no words. Only pain. The woman helped her into the car and drove her to the one place that could help, a human rights lawyer's office. The lawyer, a middle-aged woman with kind but piercing eyes, listened patiently. Amaka couldn't stop trembling as she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Every word felt like a blade slicing through her soul. "You need medical attention first," the lawyer said gently. "We'll take it from there." At the hospital, a team of doctors and nurses moved quickly. Tests confirmed what she already knew but wished wasn't true. The assault had happened. The wounds, inside and out, were real. She was given preventive treatments for infections, but nothing could prevent the nightmare that played over and over in her head. She reported the case to the police. They listened, nodding solemnly, promising to investigate. But deep inside, she wondered, would they ever catch them? The days that followed were unbearable. Sleep became a battleground. Every time she closed her eyes, she was back in that bus, surrounded by shadows, hands grabbing, voices threatening. The shame clung to her, heavy like a storm cloud. She withdrew from friends, ignored messages, and avoided mirrors. She was drowning in silence. One night, she stood at the edge of her balcony, wondering if stepping off would end the pain. But something stopped her. Maybe it was the voice of the lawyer. Maybe it was the tears in her mother's eyes when she finally visited home. Maybe it was the tiny, fragile hope that one day she might feel whole again. She started therapy. She never revealed her identity. She wasn't ready for the world to know. But in the quiet of those sessions, she spoke. And little by little, she started to heal. Dear viewers, if you've made it this far, hear me. Evil walks among us, hiding in plain sight. There are those who prey on the unsuspecting, waiting for a single moment of distraction. Amaka's story is a warning. Be security conscious. Always be aware of your surroundings. Take snapshots of vehicle plate numbers before boarding. Share your location with a trusted friend. Avoid entering vehicles with suspicious passengers. Use trusted transport services whenever possible. No one should have to go through what Amaka did. But criminals lurk in the shadows, waiting. Don't let them find you unprepared. To those who commit these crimes, justice will come. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but the darkness you spread will one day swallow you whole. If you found this story eye-opening, subscribe, share, and let's spread awareness. You could be saving someone's life. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Your life is priceless.